Hey on YouTube, Hillbilly Rideshare Driver, coming at you. Doing a Sunday drive. Actually, headed out to drive. It's about quarter till 2 in the afternoon here, so I know it's early. Probably we're out on the West Coast, but I just thought I would them and talk about whatever comes to mind mainly, but I came across some people who had questions about Maestro, and I know there's a lot of people out there that really would love for it to be on iOS. I'm no expert on Maestro. I basically downloaded the 30-day trial for my area. It in the amount that I drive really doesn't make it that crucial. They've been adding some pretty awesome features. When I initially used it, I had problems with it. Pretty much after a couple days, it was giving me fits. It would not turn on and off the apps the way they were set to. But they eventually got those problems fixed. It was mainly lift. They got them fixed. It worked great for a while. Then those problems seemed to come back again. I think it had more to do with an update. There was an update right around the big announcement of their big investor Google, and at the same time they took away the car icons on the Riders app. They've since put those back on Lyft, but that's Lyft. So I think it had more to do with Lyft than it did with Maestro, but they did eventually get that taken care of, and they've added voice commands and stuff, because I still get emails and things like that from them. It's and they've added the ability, you can add whatever apps you want to add to it. You can add to not any app, but Grubhub or DoorDash, that kind of stuff. Food delivery, you can add some of those to it if you wanted to set that up. I assume that you can filter those in the preferences as well. But there seemed to be a misconception that once you set the preferences, say you wanted to accept rides 1.5 surge and no more than 5 minutes away. Some people think that if you set those preferences in Maestro, that it will automatically decline those rides. It doesn't do any of that. The only rides that it will automatically accept are the rides that you set in preferences, and once it meets those preferences, then it will accept the ride automatically. If the ride doesn't meet those preferences, then it comes up and it shows you on the screen, that it doesn't meet whatever preference that it is that you have set. And it's your choice whether to take it or not. If you tap the screen and take the ride, then it goes about shutting off the other apps, and Bob's your uncle. You go right on about it. Right about the time my 30-day beta, whatever it was, testing was over, the app started really getting pretty well ironed out from the time that I installed it to that mark. They pretty well got it. I didn't really want to, with my 30-day trial deal, I really didn't want to get on slam the app, because it is stay on top of the updates and stuff. Yeah, it might be inconvenient for a few days, but I think they're really trying to stay on top of it. And even more so now, it seems like they're really putting a concerted effort into making sure that it stays operational. And anyone you know, who has any tech savviness whatsoever should be able to appreciate the complexity of trying to keep apps, keep up with other people's apps. Alright, looks like I have low video quality, so I'm gonna wait till that pops back up before I continue too much. I don't want a big gap in the information or whatever. Alright, come on, YouTube gamer. There we go. Looks like stream's coming back up. But anyone, as I was saying before the stream quality dropped, anyone that is tech savvy at all should be able to appreciate how difficult it would be to keep up with updating your app based on other people's apps that you are affiliated with, or that you're trying to that's dependent on your app. Basically, their app is useless without the other apps, so they have to make sure that their app keeps up with their updates. I mean, you know, 90% of the people don't keep up with their Windows updates on their computers. So imagine trying to, hey, I don't know who's watching, hey, whoever you are out there, but I'm talking about Maestro, my experience with the trial and things like that. There seem to be some misconceptions with it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you. Should be able to pop it in the chat. But the app itself is really, I just can't imagine how difficult it is for them to keep up with the updates of every app that they are compatible with. Hopefully they get it to the point where it's available on iOS, so iPhone users can use it. And I was a little bit, even though I still meet the spec, unfortunately there was a point where they had to basically draw a line in the sand with even the Android operating systems. You have to be running Android 7.0 or greater in order for it to work properly on it. They may be working on, you know, trying to get some compatibility with older versions of Android 2. I just think that they got to the point where, in order to make it stable enough, they had to, you know, kind of put that requirement in there. I'm not sure if it will work anyway. Hey, how you doing, Dark Road Run? I figured you'd still be in bed. Oh yeah, that was crazy. I don't know if you caught that Camila. She was really woo. You know, I kind of had a feeling that was going to be a ride from all the way to Pittsburgh International Airport. But you know, her and her, you know, they've been married a week, and he's a truck driver. She's with him, and she told me she was dumped out alongside the road 3 times in a week. Yeah, I kept streaming. I went ahead and kept the stream up after you got out of there, and I picked up a ride with Lyft on the Lyft side, and I really, if I had been busy, I probably wouldn't have taken it, but it would have been my mistake. I had to go a pretty, like 18 miles to go pick her up, but I figured the pickup place was in the middle of nowhere, so likely it was going to be at least a decent ride, and it might make for a decent stream. And it did. The only problem was on the trip up, you know, we were chatting, and she kind of got quiet and got into her phone and everything after she spilled the beans about her Russian husband, you know, being difficult and all this other stuff. And so I kind of had a feeling that the trip wouldn't go all the way. It'd be to a point where she wanted out. And I was right. Her new Russian husband called her on the phone and wanted me to drop her somewhere so that he could come back and meet her. I have no idea as a truck driver how he makes any money if he has to backtrack every, you know, 3 times a week. But yeah, I dropped her off. It was still like a $38 ride, and she tossed in a $5 tip, so it was all good. I ended up staying out later than I wanted to, but you know, I do that, seem to do that all the time. Every time I say I'm not staying out late, I usually end up staying out later than I wanted to. And I picked up a couple of short rides too, but I don't even think I streamed those. But I did. Yeah, it was, like I said, it was a slow night and nothing was really going on, and I'm like, man, I want to at least pay for gas, you know. So it was, you know, it was a, you know, $43, you know, covered gas, made it worthwhile. And I picked up a couple of other rides too, and I knew it would get busy late, but I was just beat to death from being out Friday night. But anyway, once she got quiet on the ride, I went ahead and turned off the stream because I really couldn't, there was, you know, nothing going on. So I just ended the stream, but after I dropped her off, I picked it back up and just kind of went over on part 2, kind of went over what was going on, what happened, and why I cut the stream off. But it was, that was interesting. I'm glad I didn't have to take her to Pittsburgh, although if I had taken her to Pittsburgh, and I would have taken her to Pittsburgh, that probably would have been like, you know, $150, $170 run. It would have been late, and I would not. That's a fact. But man, I appreciate you catching my streams and stuff. I may, depending on how it goes, I planned on getting out a little earlier today, but I needed to change my oil in my truck, so you know, that's got to happen. And so anyway, yeah, I was talking about Maestro. I think I got pretty much everything out that I was talking about, and I did catch part of your stream though. Yeah, that was. I haven't even went back and watched the video of the dude pulling up and all that. I caught part of your video on the way home. You came on just as I was getting home, and I was beat, but I did catch part of your guitar, man. That was awesome. I had no idea you could play like that. That sounded good. I did go back and watch more of it today, and threw you a thumbs up there, a comment. I wanted to watch, I know Aaron put one up too. He must have drove last night after work too. He put up a live stream. I didn't even see that till this morning. But it's, I think it's, I don't know, I like doing it. It kills boredom. It doesn't matter if I'm watching it or making one. It used to be kind of like a ritual. I would watch on, you know, on the board times. Yeah, it does. Definitely does. But, you know, I mean, I would, on the weekends, man, I would pull up videos, and that's kind of how I found Aaron. You know, he was doing some live streams, and I pulled him up, and I'm like, man, this is a great boredom killer, because it doesn't, normally it doesn't, there's gaps between rides here, a lot, but you know, That's just the way it is when you're in a market that it's fairly new. I mean, we haven't even had Uber and Lyft here for a year yet. It's more like 8 or 9 months since it's even been in the area. So it's fairly new. People are starting to pick it up, starting to lean on it pretty heavy in some areas. So I'm starting to see a bit of a higher demand for it, but there has also been more drivers popping in to the scene. So I pull up the Rider app to see if there's a bunch of cars in the area or not, depending on what area I'm in. There's always a bunch of cars in Morgantown, so I don't really worry about that too much because there's usually work to go around. Normally, there's gaps there too. It just varies. But the strange part about Morgantown is the drivers that are driving both platforms, they'll see a four-point surge pop up and they won't turn their Lyft app off, which is weird to me. Why wouldn't you want to make money? But they don't. I think I've gotten one referral. It was a rider referral. I think it was $5 on Lyft. But I have no idea how much they even give anymore. So I think when I first started, they were giving their riders $20 or something like that. I don't even know what they get anymore. I avoid telling the customer or the rider. Honestly, I don't even really mess too much with the referrals anymore, as far as, unless somebody asks me about it. I don't push it real hard. I'll put it up there. I know probably don't see it in my videos, many of them, some of them, but the money is just pain in the ass. I mean, I was, at first I was printing out, I had card stock, business card stock, and I would just print out a bunch of business cards and keep them in the truck, and had both of my referral codes on it, and I would give them to people. But I ran out of them, never printed anymore, and to be honest with you, just kind of fell by the way. Now, if they were offering $500 bonuses, I'd be trying to get drivers all over the place. And I've had people who, like in the hometown that I live in, people have come to me. They're like, "Man, why aren't you advertising?" I'm like, "Well, because that would be money out of my pocket that would benefit other drivers." Yeah, definitely. But I don't understand. There's a lot of turnover, and I guess I have no idea how many drivers they actually have. But I know even in my little town, I know of 3 other people that drive, and within the last couple months, I know 2 of them have quit driving. That's probably because they weren't getting any rides in the area, and they didn't go out of town to get any like I do. But me and one of the other drivers, we go wherever. But he's trying to, he's like me, he's trying to get to town at least to be able to use it too. I mean, how long is it going to take before, 96%, I think Aaron said that the turnover rate was ridiculous. They have a 4% retention rate of drivers at a year mark. I mean, how long is it going to take before they have no drivers? Wow, 3 months. Wow, I could almost see drivers quitting if they, burn themselves out, or, they have a major breakdown with a vehicle or something like that, and they're just in a place. Wow. It just, I met a guy who was in Morgantown. He was actually from Beckley, and that's like 200 miles away. And he came all the way up to Morgantown to drive to make money. And he was actually at a convenience store, broken down to the point where his car wasn't even drivable. And I mean, he was stranded. You know, I hung out with him a little bit trying to get him help, and I mean, one of the police officers was physically, you know, working on his car. Yes, it's West Virginia, so that does happen. You know, the police they were calling around trying to find the parts he needed for him, and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know whatever happened. I went by there like the next day. His car was still there. He wasn't there. I assume he got a ride home and just kind of abandoned his car. So he was probably out. He didn't have any money to really do anything. Like I said, I felt sorry for the guy. Most drivers in the San Francisco market are former taxi drivers. Well, yeah, I could see that too. I mean, I know I get bored sometimes with sitting around or having to be in one area. It would suck if I was a taxi driver and couldn't just log out and go home when it got slow. But I don't know. I would think the taxi, as far as from a taxi driver standpoint, I don't know how they get paid out there, but I know in small cities like here, they pretty much just get paid an hourly rate plus a tip, or they might get a small commission. I'm not sure how it works in the bigger cities. Maybe they just get straight commission and pay a rental on the car to the taxi company. But that's always been a tough business, because I mean, here anyway, the taxi rates are regulated by the state and local municipalities, and so I mean, you put up with a lot of crap for a little bit of money. I know the riders pay a lot of money as far as compared to Uber or Lyft for the rides, but taxi drivers, man, they take it on the chin. I got mad respect for taxi drivers, except the assholes that try to rip you off or just a pain in the butt. Yeah, I did too. I actually worked. I worked in like Crystal City, Virginia, which was just south of there, Alexandria area, sort of the industrial part, and it was on Hume Avenue. I don't know why I remember that, man. It was many years ago. It was outside of DC. I mean, it was basically within the Beltway across the river. You could see DC from there. And there's a scene, it's a real quick scene, and I was always told that there was an episode of Taxi shot there on that street. And I looked for it, and I never could really definitively find it and say, yeah, that's Hume Avenue. But yeah, I used to watch it that show too. Of course, you know, when I was younger, we had basically rabbit ears and 2 channels on a black and white TV if we were lucky. So my viewing repertoire was a bit limited, younger. So a lot of those kind of things I watched as reruns later on in life. And when you go back and watch reruns, you get them out of order, and it's a little bit harder to follow, especially with, you know, so you watch a few episodes and then, you know, might be a few weeks before you catch it. But I used to love that show. Hell, now they do marathons on the reruns. You can watch an entire season or hop on YouTube and just binge watch. I can't even remember a lot from it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually got into, I was, up until July, I was in the cable business, was for over 18 years. So, you know, TV signal was my life for a long time. That's gotten to be a weird industry too. It's tough to make money there anymore. Tough to make a living there anymore. Fat cats on top make it all. But yeah, wired connections are on their way out. It's going to be the only people. It's going to be like telephone. The only people that have landlines or physical cable connections are going to be the elderly and you know, the shut-ins. That kind of thing is going to kind of phase out. Yeah, the analog signal was, I know everybody got with the digital signal, and that was basically a fulfillment of was to the FCC from many years ago. Their video quality is dropping a little bit. Hopefully it picks back up. But basically years ago, the cable company told the FCC, we need all these channels. Each channel was its own frequency. The FCC said there's no way that you can fill all these channels. Well, they said, yes, we can. We will have a TV station on every channel if you give us this block of frequencies. Well, they did, and eventually the FCC got tired of their, you know, their back and forthness. There was absolutely no way they could fill all the frequencies. And then basically the cable company saw that they were eventually going to need more frequency because of all the new networks and stuff coming about. So they realized through technology that they could broadcast more than one station or channel on a single frequency, up to like 8 or 10. Well, that's all well and good, except they're broadcasting it on old technology, old wired, coax cable, old systems and things like that. But the analog was definitely more robust and better. I mean, it would, you know, as the signal got worse, it would slowly degrade, and you'd get that snow on your TV or some static and things like that, and you knew that your signal was getting bad. With analog, you know, it's more like a cliff. You go along, it works, and then it just drops off. And the only real indication that you're at the edge of that cliff with digital is that you start getting those little pixels on the screen, or tiling, as people call it. And that's kind of when you're on the edge. But man, they are really shoving a lot of crap down that coax pipe anymore, and they've pretty much reached their limit. I know a lot of areas are going to fiber. They really should have went fiber a long time ago. But some of the cable companies, especially in rural areas, they still push out an analog signal from the plant to the house, but they receive it digitally and send it back out an analog signal. But even the small towns nowadays, the analog, but that is for them. What records make scratchy anywhere? I mean, you know, after that whole thing, and she buys albums, you know, vinyl. Now she likes it. That little record player she plays on. But that's definitely a different feel. Yeah. The low signal vinyl album. And I'm back. It wasn't joking around that time, man. It just cut me off. It didn't stay up. It just, boom, you're out of here, partner. well. Welcome to West Virginia. Where the streams are not guaranteed. You are not guaranteed cell service in West Virginia. We are stuck behind a big truck. All right. If you're tuning in or checking out this video, it is part 2 of the Sunday drive in West Virginia, although I pretty much talked out the Maestro part of it on the first one. So anyway, I mean, at this point in time, though, it is an awesome app. Hey, somebody came back. Is that you, Dark Road Run? Apparently, YouTube Gamer, my cell phone provider, or just life in general, said it was time to end the stream. Yeah, it was, boom, you're out of here. I don't, you know, it just stopped. There was, it didn't hang out in their little red dot on the screen up there. It just ended it. And I'm not sure why, but I mean, it's, you know, I'm surprised it works at all here in this state. As sketchy as cell phone signal is in some areas. Woo. Yeah, I'm not sure. T-Mobile probably works here partially, but Verizon is real sketchy. I know people who have Verizon that have more problems than I do with Sprint. And what's the weird part of that I find is that a lot of times my LTE signal will be great, but but the video quality drops. So I don't know what happens. Maybe just an app deal or something like that. Do you sleep at all? Because you're like, do you drive on Sunday, Dark Road Run? Hey, look, I'm getting a little bit of surge. I'm going to turn my app off. I'm not really close enough to Morgantown yet. I know that's where the surge is. It's probably not. Oh hell, it's not even. It's barely even worth mentioning. Yeah, vampire schedule. There you go. Yeah, that's not even worth mentioning. But I get a couple miles up the road, I'm gonna have to turn my app off. Otherwise, my Lyft side is gonna just go absolutely nuts if surge keeps growing in Morgantown. And plus, I don't want to. Since I'm not there yet, I don't want to screw it up for the other drivers by being logged on and on the interstate. And I know having your apps on while you're on the interstate is kind of like a faux pas, but I drive through all the other areas that I normally drive in up this way, and there's likely no other drivers logged in any of these areas for me to screw up until I get up here. But I will turn both apps off until I get up there, because Lyft will go nuts if surge goes up on on Uber. On Sundays, you do get a little bit of surge up there, different times of day, and I know a lot of people don't drive on Sunday at all, and I sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I'm trying to well, yeah, man, we all got to look out for each other. I mean, be nice to me, I'll be nice to you, and if I haven't met you yet, I'll try to be nice to you until I figure out whether you're an asshat. But yeah, I don't try. We can all learn something from each other. You never know, you might be along the road with your hood up and stop by somebody maybe you helped out. But yeah, Lyft will go nuts here shortly if service keeps up. They'll all cancel, because what'll happen is the students will jump over on Lyft and then either not want to wait 25 minutes for me to get there, or they'll see the prices go down on Uber and jump over there because they can get a ride quicker. So yeah, this is Fairmont. By the way, that girl, of course, when she thought I was taking her to Pittsburgh, she promised, I'll give you a huge tip, and when I dropped her off last night, I thought, I wonder if she's still going to tip me, and she didn't right away. It didn't show up in the app, but I found it on Lyft. Sometimes it seems like the tips show up at odd times, so I don't really freak out too much about it. Sure enough, this morning she tossed in $5, so that's not bad on 38. Drop $5. Appreciate that. On Uber, they have started putting a label. When I first saw it pop up on the notification screen for the long pickup deal, they started, I guess they labeled it premium pickup. Kind of threw me for a minute. I thought when I first saw it came up, I thought it said premium customer or something like that, because it came up and I didn't catch all of it before, it's running out. 15 seconds isn't long enough whenever you're driving and streaming and running your pie hole. But, yeah, I'm probably, let's see if I can, yeah, it's growing. Surge is growing, and I'm not going to be a dickwad and screw these other people up, so I'm gonna get out of here and get offline, so number one, I don't get bugged, and number two, I don't mess anybody up. Yeah, absolutely, tips definitely can. I mean, I've had nights with just a crap ton of just short rides or not very many rides, and people kicking in those tips add up, especially when you compound that with any cash tips that you get. But I've had a weird watching for potholes here. I had a couple people, I had two people recently talking about Uber that both of these were college kids, so they weren't like old farts or anything, that asked me about tipping in Uber. And of course I told them, I said, well, when you go to the rating screen to rate me, you'll see the tip screen there.
And they said, well, we thought you weren't allowed to tip an Uber. I said, well, at one point, I explained the whole app thing that you couldn't, but you could still cash tip. And they said, well, we were told, someone told us that you guys didn't want tips, that the company didn't want you tipping the drivers. I'm like, oh, no, that's not it at all. I had 2 people tell me that. It's been a few months ago, but I thought that was weird why someone would start a stupid rumor. My guess is that they were just assuming that since it wasn't available in the app, the company didn't want you to tip them. But yeah, tips seem to kind of spike. I'll have days where I get tipped on almost every run, and then I'll have days that I don't get hardly anything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the rates for Uber here is 97.5 cents. I don't know how the hell. I guess you get an extra cent for every 2 miles. 97.5 cents per mile, and like 15 cents. I think it's 15 cents a minute on weight. I think. Let me look. So, with as many short rides as there are, especially in the busiest town in the state, it looks like Surge dropped out, but it looks like I would think that the rates would be a little bit higher, especially since a lot of them are a lot of the rides are short. Yeah, 97.5 and 15 cents a minute. Just waiting is the worst part. You should get paid more for waiting than driving, or hourly. Oh, looks like I didn't spend enough time cleaning my fingernails after the oil change. But as usual, I was running behind my targeted time for departure and took a shortcut on the fingernail cleaning. Hey, all right, thanks for tuning in, Dark Road Run. Yeah, I'm probably gonna jump off here and do. I may pop up. It depends if something interesting happens or comes up. I may throw something up to talk about. But thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it. Yeah, maybe I'll catch you on your next one. Have a good weekend, or have a good Sunday. All right. With that said, all right. Well, I don't know what to talk about. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. I'm going to end it with this. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, family, relatives, and your dog to tune in. Hey, if dogs can have their own channel, so they can watch mine. What can I say? Everybody watching, y'all have a good day, and stay frosty.